Hello friends, it's me, and today, vegetables are fake? What? Let's check out food theory. Vegetables are not real. Fake. What? From the food theorists. Together, let's go. Let's start.
Let's play a game. I'm gonna show you some foods, and I want you to tell me what category they fall into.
Okay.
Ready? Let's go. If you guessed vegetable, you're wrong. Nope, not a vegetable.
Vegetables?
Correct, not a vegetable. Except it totally is. Confused? You should be. Vegetables aren't real. There's no such thing, and I can prove it. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's just as nutritious as those leafy greens. Now, this is a
Okay, hello Internet. Welcome to Food Theory.
subject I've been passionate about for quite some time. Not just because if I have to hear one more person say, "Did you know that tomato isn't a vegetable?" I will snap, but because vegetables are a lie. All those times I was told I had to finish off the unseasoned, soggy greens on my plate was my villain origin story. And I finally get to exact my revenge today by proving to you and the world that vegetables aren't real. You heard me. They're a figment of our society's imagination lumped together and stuffed into the food pyramid as a way to make little kids pay a toll for dessert. I'm not happy to just pick on vegetables a little bit here. I mean, the entire category needs to be wiped off of the food pyramid. You ready? I'm about to make all of our collective 6-year-old dreams come true and make vegetables disappear from your food vocabulary forever. I can tell.
Okay, bro, wake up and chose violence. Why?
That some of you are skeptical. You might even think I'm full of shiitake mushrooms. It's an absurd premise, right? I mean, an entire food group is fake? And I hear you, so let's start small. First, what even is a vegetable? It may seem like a pretty obvious answer. We know what vegetables are. Most of us eat them every day. Amy eats nothing but vegetables. So how do we define it? If you're stuck, it's not just you. Even old Miriam is woefully unhelpful. A usually herbaceous plant grown for an edible part that is usually eaten as part of a meal. So basically any plant we can use to make food. It gets worse if you look at the origin of the word. Vegetable was first used in the 15th century, vaguely describing neither animal nor mineral. Thanks, 15th century guy. If it's not an animal, it's a vegetable. Water, vegetable. This table, vegetable. Obviously, that doesn't help us at all. So immediately you can see the problem here. By the modern definition, all of these are vegetables. A pineapple is part of a plant grown for food. So is celery. And guess what? Fries are made directly from potatoes, which are part of a plant, meaning that the scariest twist of today's episode is that McDonald's is the biggest distributor of vegetables in the world. Yeah, obviously this can't be a definition of vegetables because it includes all starches and fruits and literally every part of every plant under the sun and ground. That's nothing like what we're looking for and isn't actually a practical definition for anything. Putting the dictionary aside though, the culinary world doesn't really have a good definition for them either. It's pretty much just all plants. Really, the only distinction that's made is making a carve out for fruits, which really just boils down to culinary application, like whether they're used in desserts or not. Vegetables are typically tougher and taste blander than fruit due to lower sugar content, and some other definitions state that they likely require cooking to eat. But with that being said, there are plenty of veggies that don't require cooking. Tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, pretty much anything you can throw in a salad. Another common distinction people make is how vegetables have a savory flavor and they're used in savory dishes. Again, massive list of exceptions. Shallots, carrots, and beets, especially when cooked, are all sweet. There are also definitions of vegetables that pin them as greens or the non-woody parts of plants. But unfortunately, I have to be that guy again and point out that there are quite a few exceptions. I'm sure most of you already got to this counterpoint, but I'll say it anyway. Not all vegetables are green. Sure, there's a lot out there that are, but just as many that aren't. And when it comes to woody, no, and you know it, bamboo shoots are edible, very common in East Asian cuisine, and considered a vegetable. So even that rudimentary distinction between vegetables and fruit and the definition itself are completely bunk. TLDR, there is no definition of a vegetable that exists that isn't immediately disproven by a ton of other vegetables. So
Come on. Seriously?
where does that leave us? What the heck are we actually eating? Let's go back for a second and focus on the humble tomato. The whole "it's a fruit" thing stems from the botanical definition of a fruit. And thankfully, the definition of fruit isn't completely bananas like vegetables is. Well, whatever, you know what I mean. In botany, the scientific classification of plants, the seed-bearing parts that develop from the ripened ovary of a flowering plant are considered fruits. If you remember back to 4th grade when you labeled the parts of a plant, you did things like the petals and the stamen and all that jazz. anything in that region is considered a fruit. Simply put, a fruit is something that is produced by a plant rather than being the plant itself, specifically the reproductive part. By this definition, the tomato is the product of the Solanum lycopersicum plant, more commonly and easily named the tomato plant, therefore proving that tomatoes are in fact fruit. What's more interesting though is that this can be said for a lot of vegetables. Cucumbers are from the plant Cucumis sativus. Peppers are a product of the Capsicum annuum plant. Sweet corn, eggplants, all types of squash, peas, and pumpkins are actually fruits. In fact, a massive number of the vegetables you eat every day, and even the ones your mom is all up in your business about, are 100% fruit. And watch out, because it's not just the fruits with skins and mushy insides we're talking about. This also includes things like the little buds on broccoli. Those are flower.
Okay, let me just stop you right there. If you're a child or if you're a teenager and your parent is lecturing you about eating of vegetables, and you tell them that's not vegetables, those are fruits, don't say that, especially not in an Asian family. They're going to say, what do you say? I tell you to eat because I care for you. I'm your parent. I care for you. You're my mom. You're my belly. I pregnant for 9 months. I've suffered for you. It's like, hands up. Bah. Hands up. Bah. It's like, don't do that. You're just asking for punishment.
Buds, the reproductive part of the plant. So is cauliflower, at least the tips of it, which are actually a flower. This also knocks out artichokes, capers, and zucchini flowers if you're playing along at home. And of course, all this fruit talk leaves us with the obvious question. If these vegetables are fruit, have we just been mislabeling these two categories for years? Is it all fruit? No. Celery isn't a fruit. Neither is radish, cabbage, spinach, rhubarb. There's a whole bunch.
My cabbages! Avatar.
Of other stuff to deal with here, and even though we've taken a good amount out of this food category, we still have work to do. If even the science dedicated to naming the thing is utterly unhelpful, things aren't looking too good for veggies. But at least by knocking out all the fruits, we can agree that any part of the plant that isn't the reproductive portion of the flower is fair game. Thing is, this actually blows the whole thing wide open. But before we dive into that, you know what is real? All those subscriptions that slowly keep piling up sneakily without me even realizing it. The week-long trials I forget to cancel that automatically renew, and suddenly I find myself paying for Pickle of the Month Club for an entire year. Well, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. I use Rocket Money to get me out of all of those sticky situations with subscriptions. It safely and securely identifies recurring charges and cancels those unwanted subscriptions for you. I really wasn't kidding about the pickles. You can even do it from within the app with just a couple of taps, so you don't have to worry about any customer service representatives making you feel bad for canceling their service. But I'm also using Rocket Money to set budgets that work with my lifestyle of inordinate amounts of cereal, chips, and spicy chicken sandwiches. It lets you automatically monitor your spending by category and get notifications when you exceed your limits. That way I can keep my finances in check and save for the important stuff, like one of those giant 10-pound Toblerone bars. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So to save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members like me using Rocket Money today. You can also unlock even more features with premium. So go to rocketmoney.com/foodtheorist or click the link in the description below to get started for free. That's rocketmoney.com/foodtheorist to get started for free. And now that you're on your way to making that bread, let me show you how it is a vegetable. Because now we gotta talk about grains. Yeah, grains are plants. Grains are the seeds of plants called cereals. Wheat, rice, corn, barley, all grains, all parts of plants. Those grains are collected, ground into the fine powder we know as flour, mixed with water and yeast, and voila, bread. So Matt's crazed deep dive into the history of the world according to bread? No siree, it's the history of the world according to vegetables. But grains are seeds, and seeds aren't vegetables, right? They aren't technically part of the plant. If anything, they're actually part of the fruit. Well, setting that can of worms aside for a moment, there are plenty of seeds that actually are considered vegetables though. You have peas, pretty much every bean, and also, weirdly enough, corn. So we can't make the blanket distinction of removing seeds from the vegetable category. Oh no. Did I just redefine bread as fruit? Luckily for my sanity, no. One thing that all those seeds I listed have in common is that they come from herbaceous plants that do not produce fruits in the botanical sense. They don't develop in the fruit, so the seeds and bread can comfortably fall within the grains category they're already in. But they won't be alone for long. See, we've knocked out a huge number of foods formerly known as vegetables and assigned them to fruit categories. But we are left with a lot of stuff that's considered hallmarks of the vegetable category. Things like celery, spinach, and carrots. The easiest easiest one of those to peel off and send packing is carrots, which are not and never have been a vegetable. Carrots, along with garlic, beets, potatoes, yams, and anything else you can dig up, is a geophyte. Botanically, geophytes are plants with a bulb where they store energy. Think everything from spring onions to tulips to potatoes, and include a big category of foods that have been misclassified as vegetables. These are what we would usually consider starchy vegetables, but they're nothing like vegetables like celery or green beans in their taste, texture, or nutrition content. They're way closer to bread than they are to spinach. So much.
But having said that, okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. Who in the hell will say the word geofats? Who in the hell will say starchy vegetables? It's like, still vegetables? And think about it from a point of view of someone that is not fluent in English, okay? Like, aka a huge majority of the populations. Like, my parents' English are not good. You just eat the vegetables. This is the apple. Just eat. Just eat. You say what? Just eat. I'm gonna eat it. I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get punished for something so stupid, you know?
So that on some things like a keto diet, these kinds of foods like carrots, beets, potatoes, and even onions are off limits. If you still need any convincing on this one, the USDA is considering reclassifying potatoes as a grain in 2025 because they make no sense as a vegetable. Everything in this category already is or is soon to be recognized for what it is. Basically a very planty bread. Instead of greens, this category should from now on be known as the seeds and starches. So we've jettisoned most of the former veggies into either fruits or seeds and starches. Is that it? What's left then? Well, there is a group of foods remaining, much smaller than we originally started with, that pretty much all fall into the category of stems and leaves. Makes you feel like you're just chomping on your own backyard, doesn't it? Not that appealing. Some of the most common veggies in our collective diets come from this remaining category. And at the end of the day, this is the closest we actually come to a vegetable in the real world. All your leaves: spinach, kale, cabbage, kohlrabi, mustard greens, collard greens, watercress, chickweed, which is a real thing, are all
I love it that he just put in the cabbage merchant's face. My cabbages!
all exactly what they look like. Leaves. Celery, rhubarb, bamboo, sugarcane, they're all the stems. Finally, a category of things that actually make sense to fit together. These two groups of food items are eaten because they're high in fiber, extremely low in calories, and sometimes have the added kick of an additional mineral like iron or calcium. If there were anything in the world that actually qualified as a vegetable, these would probably be it. That said, we've already shown that the definition of a vegetable is scorched earth. The gum I chewed this morning was probably a vegetable by today's standards. So actually, it would be much more appropriate to take this small group of food items by a botanically appropriate name: stems and leaves. Not only does this actually tell you what you're eating, it makes no bones about the idea that it's probably gonna be uncomfortably good for you. And if you have any hope of making it to an empty plate, you better be ready to cook these things in a lot of butter. It's honest, it's straightforward, and it's not vegetables. Because there's
Okay, somebody's mad.
no such thing as a vegetable. In the end, what you thought were vegetables 15 minutes ago have never been and will continue to never be what popular culture tells you is a vegetable. Because nutritionally, botanically, and even with the smallest modicum of common sense, it's clear that they fit into practically every other food category.
Okay, bro, just pause for all first. Pause all first, okay? I recognize that you are very into it, right? Okay? But think from a point of view of other people. English is not their first language. Fruits, 水果, 蔬菜. Think about it from someone that is from other cultures, that is not literate, that is not good with language and all, okay? They just think that apple is from a tree, eat fruit. Or vegetables. Think from the point of view of someone that is... Bro, you could have just inserted one line or two lines about... From the point of view of the regular individuals, it doesn't matter.
Leaving no need for vegetable to be one. So the next time you pick up a carrot, know that you're eating a starch. The next time you're craving a fruit, there's a cucumber right there in contention with apples and oranges. And when someone tries to call broccoli a vegetable, kindly let them know that there's no such thing. You're eating a flower covered in a lot of cheese, hopefully. Just like...
Bro, just don't be so... It's just a very casual conversations, you know. You know, people just want to have a welcoming conversation. Don't be so against it, please.
So many other topics on this channel, knowing that there's no such thing as a vegetable can free you from this idea that you have to eat them without actually knowing why. Now you can choose your foods based on what they're actually doing for your body and what part of the plant they're coming from. Not because they came out of some random assortment of fruits, roots, and stems that are all completely different and give your body completely different things. And just
But from the point of view of other languages, they do not have like those kind of, they do not have the particular words called geophile translate into their language. Sir, you do know that the easiest way is Occam's razor, you know.
like the archaic food pyramid, which is now just a plate, it's time to phase out the word vegetable from our vocabulary, never to be used again as a gatekeeper to all things sweet post-dinner. But until then, the next time your mom tells you to eat your vegetables, feel free to spring for that handful of breadsticks. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.
Don't do that. Don't do that. The last advice that Santi said to you, don't do that. Don't. Okay? Your parents care for you. Your family care for you. Your family wants you to have different foods, try different stuff. If you are so insistent on rebutting them, countering them, being so confrontational, aggressive, nobody likes that. And you might get punished because, you know, you're talking back against your parents, so So yeah, thank you so much, hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video. Subscribe, thank you so much. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory! Thanks for watching, thank you. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much, subscribe, thank you. And bro, Santi, please, just like insert one line or two lines, like to the average common people, this doesn't really matter, you know, just insert, you just have to say one line. For the regular individuals, that day-to-day basis, it does not matter, okay? So,